Imagine a law so precise that it is meant to protect you, but within its words lies a hidden gap that almost anyone can exploit. In the United States, these legal loopholes are often invisible to the average citizen, yet they quietly shape industries, government decisions, and even everyday life. What happens next is rarely discussed. A simple technicality can allow actions that appear illegal to go unchecked. How is it that a system built on justice can leave room for such exceptions? Most Americans never notice this detail, because the law is written with layers of complexity few dare to explore. At the heart of these loopholes is language, legal language. Every word is measured, and every sentence carries the weight of decades of precedent. Yet this precision is a double-edged sword. A clause intended to prevent abuse can also be used to justify it. Consider tax regulations, for instance. The Internal Revenue Code stretches over 70,000 pages, and inside are provisions that allow corporations and individuals to legally avoid billions in taxes. The public rarely sees the strategies behind these moves, yet they affect the national economy profoundly. Loopholes are not accidental. Lawmakers, by necessity, cannot foresee every scenario. The system quietly works like this. A law is drafted, interpreted by courts, and implemented by agencies. Somewhere in that process, exceptions emerge. Some are exploited immediately, others lie dormant for years before discovery. Today, we will explore how these gaps operate, why they persist, and the surprising ways ordinary Americans encounter them without even realizing it. The next part will reveal the most common arenas where loopholes silently. One of the most striking arenas is taxation. Beyond the well-known deductions and credits, there exists a network of clauses designed for businesses but often used by individuals. These provisions are legally permissible, yet they create opportunities that the average taxpayer cannot access. What happens next is rarely discussed. Corporations can shift profits to low-tax states or even overseas, reducing their federal liability to almost zero. These strategies rely entirely on interpreting the law as it is written, not bending it but navigating its intricacies. Most people never notice this detail because the language is buried in dense regulatory texts. For example, pass-through entities allow income to bypass corporate taxes entirely, appearing instead on personal returns. On the surface, it seems straightforward. However, the system quietly works like this. A company structures operations across multiple states, each with slightly different definitions, and suddenly a single business can legally minimize tax in ways the average citizen cannot. The gap is legal yet invisible. Loopholes extend beyond taxation. In real estate, certain zoning laws and lending requirements have technical exceptions. Investors aware of these rules can acquire properties under conditions that others cannot even consider. Similarly, in intellectual property law, clauses defining public domain or fair use are often leveraged creatively to retain or circumvent ownership. The common thread is the same. Deep knowledge of legal text reveals opportunities that remain hidden from the public eye. By understanding the mechanisms, it becomes clear that loopholes are not flaws, but features of an extremely complex system. The next part will examine how corporate structures exploit legal gaps with surgical precision, often without public scrutiny. They dominate. Corporate law is one of the most fertile grounds for loopholes. Companies are treated as legal persons, yet this status creates exceptions that real individuals cannot access. Most people never notice this detail because it is rarely covered outside specialized education. What happens next is rarely discussed. The creation of subsidiaries, shell companies, and holding structures allows corporations to limit liability and protect assets in ways that defy conventional expectations. For instance, a single corporation may create multiple entities, each responsible for different operations. If one faces legal action, the others remain unaffected. Courts generally uphold these separations, recognizing each entity as independent despite shared ownership. This principle is perfectly legal, yet it produces outcomes that seem counterintuitive. A business can operate with minimal risk while the public assumes standard liability rules apply. The system quietly works like this. By leveraging incorporation laws, companies can access benefits like tax breaks, subsidies, and contractual advantages that would be unavailable to an individual. In addition, clauses in bankruptcy statutes provide additional opportunities. Certain obligations can be delayed or restructured through legal interpretation, leaving companies free to continue operations while minimizing financial exposure. These structures extend into international operations. Loopholes in trade and regulatory law allow companies to route resources and revenue through jurisdictions with favorable legal conditions. The complexity is immense, and only those who study the system in depth can see the full picture. Next, we will explore how these principles affect everyday Americans, often without their awareness, and how consumer rights intersect with these hidden gaps. Consumer law, surprisingly, contains its own set of overlooked loopholes. From warranty regulations to credit agreements, legal text provides subtle opportunities for corporations to limit accountability. Most Americans never notice this detail because contracts are long, filled with dense language, and rarely read in full. Yet within these words lie exceptions that shift the balance of power. For example, arbitration clauses in contracts often prevent individuals from taking disputes to court. Instead, conflicts are resolved privately, usually favoring the organization with greater resources. The system quietly works like this. By signing an agreement without fully understanding it, a consumer unknowingly waives rights that would otherwise be guaranteed under state or federal law. These clauses are entirely legal, yet their impact is profound, affecting millions annually. Similarly, loopholes exist in lending and credit practices. Terms that seem standard often include exceptions to interest caps or repayment obligations. Individuals may comply with all visible rules while still falling short of regulatory definitions, triggering legal conditions that the public rarely anticipates. Insurance law follows the same pattern. Policy wording often includes conditions that can negate coverage if minor technical requirements are unmet, yet companies can enforce these clauses with precision. Most people never notice these details, yet they affect daily life. The complexity ensures that the system remains functional, yet layered with hidden pathways that only professionals recognize. In the next part, we will examine the interplay between government policy and legal exceptions, revealing how loopholes extend beyond private entities into public systems. Consumer law, surprisingly, contains its own set of overlooked loopholes. From warranty regulations to credit agreements, legal text provides subtle opportunities for corporations to limit accountability. Most Americans never notice this detail because contracts are long, filled with dense language, and rarely read in full. Yet within these words lie exceptions that shift the balance of power. For example, arbitration clauses in contracts often prevent individuals from taking disputes to court. Instead, conflicts are resolved privately, usually favoring the organization with greater resources. The system quietly works like this. By signing an agreement without fully understanding it, a consumer unknowingly waives rights that would otherwise be guaranteed under state or federal law. These clauses are entirely legal, yet their impact is profound, affecting millions annually. Similarly, loopholes exist in lending and credit practices. Terms that seem standard often include exceptions to interest caps or repayment obligations. Individuals may comply with all visible rules while still falling short of regulatory definitions, triggering legal conditions that the public rarely anticipates. Insurance law follows the same pattern. Policy wording often includes conditions that can negate coverage if minor technical requirements are unmet, yet companies can enforce these clauses with precision. Most people never notice these details, yet they affect daily life. The complexity ensures that the system remains functional, yet layered with hidden pathways that only professionals recognize. In the next part, we will examine the interplay between government policy and legal exceptions, revealing how loopholes extend beyond private entities into public systems. Technology has introduced an entirely new layer of legal complexity. Intellectual property, digital commerce, and data privacy laws are constantly evolving, yet they are written with the same precision and the same hidden gaps as traditional statutes. Most people never notice this detail because tech law is specialized and constantly changing. What happens next is rarely discussed. Companies and innovators exploit these gaps to gain competitive advantage. For instance, software licensing agreements often include subtle conditions that limit liability or redistribute risk. Privacy policies may comply with federal requirements while bypassing state laws through carefully defined jurisdiction clauses. The system quietly works like this. Legal interpretation lags behind technological innovation, creating opportunities that remain technically lawful but practically opaque. Even emerging sectors like cryptocurrency, artificial intelligence, and virtual assets exist within loosely defined legal frameworks. Early adopters navigate regulatory ambiguity to operate within permissible boundaries while exploring novel models unavailable to latecomers. Loopholes in these areas are not accidental. They are the natural byproduct of complex, adaptive systems trying to keep pace with innovation. Understanding these intersections is key to grasping the broader significance of legal loopholes. They are not just abstract quirks, they influence economics, business, and societal norms. The final part will provide a calm, authoritative summary, connecting these hidden gaps across different sectors and leaving a lasting impression of their pervasive influence. Legal loopholes in the United States are neither moral failures nor evidence of corruption. They are the product of a vast, intricate system balancing precision, flexibility, and practicality. Across taxation, corporate law, consumer rights, government policy, and technology, subtle gaps allow actions that appear surprising yet remain entirely lawful. Most Americans never notice these details because the language is intentionally complex, and the consequences unfold gradually. The system quietly works like this. Every law is written with intention, interpreted with precedent, and enforced with discretion. Yet within this structure, hidden pathways emerge. Some are exploited by corporations, some by individuals, and some remain dormant until opportunity or circumstance reveals them. Each loophole reflects the delicate interplay between rigid rules and human ingenuity. By examining these hidden gaps, it becomes clear that the law is both shield and instrument, a framework for order, yet adaptable enough to allow exceptions. The more one studies the system, the more these intricacies emerge, revealing a landscape that is as functional as it is nuanced. In the end, legal loopholes are not failures. They are features of an immensely complex society. They demonstrate that precision can create flexibility, and clarity can coexist with ambiguity. For those who observe carefully, they offer insight into the mechanisms of law, the limits of regulation, and the subtle ways rules shape daily life. In the United States, the law is not just a guide. It is a labyrinth, and within it, the paths less traveled are often the most revealing.